Well, hello. Today we're going to work on fixing the broken switches on the overhead console of an Expedition or Excursion. So these black switches will end up breaking inside, and we're going to show you how to go ahead and take those out and get those fixed, if all the pieces are still there. Let's come on and follow along. So to remove the dome light cover, there's two tabs that slip in on the bottom. There's two compression tabs on the sides, and there's one clip up in the front. So we'll go ahead and take our small screwdriver, work that out, and again be careful of the two compression tabs, and then the two tangs we want to lift up so they don't break off. Now the black switch covers, those will just pull off. Now we have access to those switches that are likely broken. So they're a compression fit. There's a large hole back behind it, and then the piece slips into that compression fitting. So what we're going to do is we're just going to pull that switch back to that larger opening, and then it can push down. So let's turn it over and see what it looks like. So now we have access to both of the switches. And again, if yours are broken, you're going to want to try and make sure that you've got all the pieces. Sometimes the pieces will fall in other areas if these come completely apart. If you do want to take this switch harness out to work on it at a different location outside your car, or just make it easier to handle, you can go ahead and lift these two tabs, pull this black clip out, and then there's a piece underneath here that you'll need to push down so you can slide that clip out. And if you do, that's what you'll end up with just the switch wiring. Now, with the switch wiring, I'm going to go through and show you why we have a problem. So first, understanding why it breaks. You've got three wires that go into each side. The center wire is the ground, and then you've got two outer wires. And those two outer wires provide the power either through the switch itself or through the dome light switch at the headlight. So taking this apart, we'll see what components we have. So we have the upper piece that then presses into the overhead console and is held in place by that. You'll have then a black cover switch, an inner white piece, and then there's a spring that goes in there. Of course, I'm missing on this one, like so many pieces are. And then you have a black rotating piece at the bottom with the wire contacts on it. So what happens is that center piece contacts that bottom, and then the circuit's continued when those side tangs then touch either one of those outer pieces. So what will happen, this functions much like the clicker on your mechanical pencil or pen, that spring that's inside here holds this white piece up. Well, this black piece here at the top has little guides on the edges, and the bottom of this has angled cuts, as well as the top outer edge of this white piece has angled cuts. So much like the mechanical pencil, while this is held up, when you push it down, those angled cuts then rotate that bottom piece to either make contact on the sides or rotate that bottom piece so the contact is broken. So what happens and why these break? You've got that upper piece that's held in place in the overhead console. This is held into the frame, and the button comes out through here. When you push on the button to activate the light, it's not pushing against the piece that's retained in the overhead console. It's actually pushing against this back piece, and so that back piece will separate from. So this piece will stay in place, held in the housing, and you're effectively pushing the back away from the switch. So that's what we're going to try and fix, and this is a solution that I've come up with, but it only works if you have all of the pieces. If that spring's missing or one of the other pieces, you're going to have to go get a new harness. So what I came up with the first time was just some super glue. And the problem that I had is even just using it in tiny little drops, it ended up contacting the moving pieces just enough that it bound them up and it wouldn't click. So I want to come up with a different solution to be able to fix that. So what I came up with was plastic welding using my soldering iron. And so I don't know if you can see it from that view, but I've soldered that seam all the way around. So that seam now has been soldered, the plastic melted with the soldering iron on both sides, and then mixed together to keep those two pieces. So what I'm going to do now is show you how I do that. Tools I use is just a soldering iron with a flat blade. Go ahead and heat that up, and then you're going to do this with all of your components, obviously together. So the wires in it, the switches together, and you just hold that switch together. And then as I weld, I'm going to rotate it a little bit to try and get that plastic to mix back and forth. We're just going to do the 3 sides. And one last one. Let that cool, and then I've found with all the ones that I've done dozens, I've not had one failure of that coming apart. If you have extra plastic, or say you need to get extra pieces, you can always utilize one of your broken pieces or extras and weld some more of that plastic off, melt more of it off, and help fill that joint to give it some more structure. So that's what I've done. You're going to go ahead and reinsert those the same way back into the light and get it all put together. So again, that's the solution that I came up with, plastic welding those two halves together to keep that back from being pushed out. So we're going to put them back in place. If you took your wiring harness out, again, push that black one on the ribbon, put that back in the overhead frame, and then we're going to push those into the large opening, slide them to the center. We'll go ahead and show you on this one. So again, in the large opening, and we want to keep it tight, and then slide it toward the center, pressed in. Put in our black covers. You can see it's got the little hole right here. Press that on. And then reinstalling our lens. Again, these are the tabs that are most likely going to break. So we want to make sure we get those in at an angle. And because it is domed, we want to make sure that they stay in as we rotate it down. These two tabs will easily kind of splay out above, so we want to make sure we keep them pressed into the openings. So pressing in toward the center to keep those tangs from breaking off. And then lastly, our tab up here, pressing down, pops in place. And now you can hear that good solid click, and then that light is back in place. Now again, with these switches breaking and separating these parts, sometimes will get lost when it ejects it in the back. It may pop it out anywhere, so it could fall in any of those locations, so look around. If you don't have all the pieces, unfortunately I don't have any more spares. Like I said, the best place to find them is going to be at your local pick and pull, U-Pull-It, junkyards. And these harnesses come out of both the Excursion and the Expeditions, and so that's where you'll be able to find those. I hope that helps, gives you a solution to fixing those broken switches, and appreciate you watching. Enjoy your day.